Hey,
go?
how you doing, Heather?
Good. How are you, Allison?
I'm good. I'm good. What
Good.
will be helpful?
Well, okay. So I'm at a different juncture. I took your course like back when I first opened my private practice, and it's been almost 3 years now.
Hmm.
So I have no lack of clients. It's just how can I optimize what I'm doing?
Hmm.
Because I do insurance based, I do private pay. Um, and I'm just working my ass off. So I
Uh-huh.
guess I'm just wondering, like, what else can I do so that
Yeah.
I'm not, I just feel like I'm working really hard. And maybe if I could optimize it in some way, like, and where do I put my attention, I guess, was my questions today. Because
Yeah.
I have a lot of ideas, but it's like, I don't know if what's the greatest payoff? Do I do marketing more for the private pay piece? Do I supervise because I'm already a supervised licensed uh, clinician? So do I take on clinical trainees? Do I run groups? Do I rent out my office space? Do I hire another clinician? What would be the best thing?
Love it.
Um,
I love that
you're
you're
the
thinking through
you're
all
the
of it.
expert, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I am with this. Yes, I'll own that. Um,
So
okay. I'm assuming okay, you're working more than you want to right now. Is that because of
yeah.
money? Is that because people call and you feel bad saying no? What's happening there?
Um, I think what it is I'm taking like I used to be more like 50% private pay, 50% insurance, and then it
Hmm.
started tipping more insurance base.
Hmm.
And I don't know like how to I don't want to say like I was afraid to ask for what I think I'm worth because I don't think it's that. I just think it was like Heather's not consistent enough with her marketing to really like put in the time, energy, and effort to kind of like keep it even. And so
Hmm.
I think that that's what happened. And so then I ended up taking more insurance base, which obviously pays less. And so then it's like, well, I need two of those clients to like the one private pay, right?
Hmm.
And so then I just think I got lopsided in that way. So I look back and I'm like, I can totally see like what I did. And like I'm inconsistent with like marketing on Psychology Today. I'm on Headway, Alma, and then my own website. And the other thing I know I'm doing is like, and I don't know if this is a big deal or not, but like I'm not consistent advertising on each of them. So like my website is the target niche that I created, that Cat Love put together, created this
Hmm.
beautiful website, right? So I'm super grateful. Launched that, got me the private pay clients that I have. But then it just kind of like I didn't carry that over into other maybe areas. It's like, oh, I never
Hmm.
changed my Psychology Today profile and I never did this or I never did that or and it was always like, oh, I'll do it on the weekend. And then I'm like, I am so tired. I don't want anything to do with my business on the weekend. And I
Yeah.
like my life with my family on the weekend, which,
Hmm.
like that's what therapists always struggle with, right? Is like that work-life balance. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's a
So,
lot of verbiage for you. That was a
no,
long
I love
answer.
it and need it. It's good. How many clients are you currently seeing every week?
25 to 27.
Okay. How many do
So
you
I don't
want to
think
see?
it's terrible. I would prefer to see like 20 to 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it would be great if I could totally take off Mondays because I would love Monday to be like Monday marketing day. Or like Monday's Heather's extra, like I go to the dentist or I do the things that life requires that's hard to take time off for when you're a therapist, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Okay. Let's go through. I want to go through your different ideas because I don't want to just say, like, here is the path. I want to talk through them and
Okay.
tell you why some of them are decidedly not the path if the goal for you is to work less and to make the same amount of money or more.
Okay.
So hit me with the first one.
The first one is just increasing my private pay visibility and like
Mhm.
really pouring more time and effort into marketing.
Yeah. How are most people who are your private pay clients finding you now?
That is a good question. I think it's just through my website.
Okay, but how do they find your website?
I don't know. I think so I have a network of other trauma informed therapists that I'm a part of in this
Hmm.
community. It's called Anchored Relational Therapy, formerly Air Network, and I've did some training with these women out of that, and I'm listed as one of the providers on their website. I'm also under the Minnesota Trauma Association's website. And I do EMDR and so like an IFS and so I have and TFCBT. So I have some specific like things people are looking for that are like,
Hmm.
oh, you should talk to Heather because she does EMDR or or she's feminist narrative therapist. Like you would love her because that's the fit. And oh, are you the cultural trauma from like spiritual abuse and all of that? Like she does that really good.
Hmm.
So like that kind of thing, I think that's how that's. I don't honestly really know because I have been getting these clients. I'm like, I don't know.
Okay. One thing I want you to add to your intake paperwork is how did you hear about me? And just leave
Okay.
a blank. And that way it's not a big question mark anymore. I'm guessing it is these relationships. It's like probably word of mouth from previous clients and these folks you've networked with that trust you, that you've taught, that know that you know what's up.
Hmm.
Um, so they're probably that leads them to your website, which they're like sold because it's niched and it's beautiful, and then they call you. So
Hmm.
we need to know and understand where new clients are coming in from in order to be able to keep pulling that lever, essentially. Um, so if you want to see how much is insurance reimbursing you on average now?
Well, that varies too. So it depends on the insurance company, right? But I would say like probably 130 to 140
Okay.
on
And
average.
what's your private pay rate?
190.
Okay.
And I didn't increase that this year either. So that was another like Heather no-no because I thought about increasing it to 230 and I took your course and I don't know, I just calculated it all out and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going for. And then I just didn't because I was like, oh, this economy, oh, Trump's
Mhm.
fucking up the world. Oh, just to be frank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I can't do that to people. Like everyone's already struggling and it was January and it was during the ice in Minnesota. And like, so there was a lot of stuff going on that maybe I
Mhm.
just didn't do it then, which I'm being gracious to myself for and not shame
Yeah.
based.
Well,
Um,
and we have this program, Limitless Practice, that's for people like you who are full and trying to optimize. And almost everybody in there is like, I meant to raise my rate or I meant to get off insurance and I just kept not. So most of us go through a period of not doing the things that we know are going to make a big difference in our practice. So, you know, you're not alone, basically. Like I hear about this all the time. Um,
mhm.
so in order to, like, if you're getting paid, oh wait, and what percentage of your practice is insurance based right now? Or what number, whatever's easiest to
I
tell.
would say like more like 75% and then like
Okay.
25% is private pay, which wasn't
Okay.
when I initially started.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm seeing this interesting thing. You might have heard me say this on the podcast if you've been listening. I'm seeing this interesting thing for the first time in my career where private pay clinicians are getting full faster than insurance-based clinicians right now. But only if they have premium rates. So 190 is coming close to premium rates, but depending on your city, it might not be considered a premium rate.
Mhm.
And that is because the platforms have flooded the insurance-based practice space so significantly,
Mm.
like 100,000 more therapists serving people with insurance than there were a few years ago. So it makes it it makes it actually tougher for insurance-based practices. Even though yours is growing, it's because you've got word of mouth. So if you take insurance, they're going to use insurance, right?
Hmm.
Um, whereas I suspect if you've been private pay these 3 years for a portion of your caseload, even if it's dwindling, it probably just needs some poking and prodding with whatever marketing got them there. Likely you need to reform these relationships so that you are top of mind more often with the folks that have been, referring to you. So like looking at the numbers, even if you got back to 50-50, that's a lot fewer clients that you would need to see every week. It'd be a lot
Right.
closer to your goal.
Right. Right. I just don't know how to do that.
When people contact you through your website, not through Alma or Headway, do you ever just tell them your private pay?
No. Because on my website it does say I also accept insurance. So
So
I don't know if they've done their research, but
yeah, probably not. You are a contractor. You are basically a part of two giant group practices, and you have your own practice. These are separate entities.
mm,
So when people call, I would take it off your website. When people call and they're like, I would like to set up an appointment, and you feel like a good fit, and you let them know your private pay rate. If they're like, oh, I can't do that, you have a couple choices. If you're like, this person is like my dream client, it's who I totally want to see, you could say, well, I also do some work for these platforms. So that's an option. But most people are like, oh, well, if you take my insurance, then like, I just want to use my insurance, right?
hmm hmm
So I would
hmm
consider leading with your private pay practice, not your group practices you're a part of on your private pay practice website.
Okay. So take it off the website. Would I take it off of Psychology Today too?
Yeah. Yeah. And they
Okay.
might have even created a Psych Today profile for you. They're not really letting therapists know when they do this. So you may have one floating out there for Alma or Headway
Oh,
that
really?
they're creating. Yeah, they've also, yeah, they've flooded Psych Today also. So Psych Today is not the powerhouse it used to be in terms of getting clients. So
Bummer. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so take it off my website, Psychology Today. Do I need to increase my rate?
Do you have it in your paperwork? Like I increase my rate every January. Like is it
No.
already okay? So you should also do that. Like choose a month and stick to it. Choose whatever month you're gonna make it happen. Um, but yeah, I think raising your rate. When was the last time you raised your rate?
A year and a half ago, because it was the past January.
Okay.
So 2024. Yeah,
Yeah.
2025. No, yes, that's it. 2025 to 2026. So it would have been 2025, a year and a half ago.
hmm So my guess is your groceries went up too, right? And
Yeah.
your gas went up just like mine did. So it's okay to raise your rates. And
hmm
it's your practice. So if you have clients who are like, oh God, like I'm not going to be able to see you at that rate, then you can be like, okay, well, could you do 200? Like,
hmm
you can negotiate if you think you're going to lose this client that you really enjoy working with, then you can figure out another situation.
Okay. True. Okay. Yeah.
So,
What is premium rate, or how do you figure that out in your area?
I mean, I think ultimately it's looking at what you need, like it's doing the math.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay.
So, I mean, usually around 200 is where I start thinking of premium rate. So you're just shy of that. And I think so I usually think of it as 200 and up. 190, I would say, counts close enough. But I would do the math to see if you were to see 20 clients a week and you wanted to make as much as you're making right now, how much do you need to charge? And is your current income covering time off, vacations, retirement, you know, putting into your kids' college fund, like whatever it is that you might want or need to pay for aside from just bare bones bills.
hmm 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 Well, right now it is,
Hmm
but I guess the reason I was like, okay, I do need to increase my rates is because they will increase my rates here, this office space. Like they don't
hmm
have any problem with 30%. So I'm like, why am I not? Like
Right.
that's, and I think people appreciate an actual office space if they are insurance based. They're like,
Yes.
oh, you're a real person. You're not a bot out there
hmm
on
Yeah.
Headway or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
don't want to work as much. Like you need to not work as much. 25 to 27 clients is a lot.
Okay. What is the average for like private pay? What would be like a normal
Oh, for
amount of
private pay,
clients?
oh, it's all over the place. Because the thing
Is it?
about people who have private pay practices is they've figured out that you don't have to follow somebody else's rules. They're already breaking the rules, right? By
Hmm.
not being on insurance. So, I mean, I talk to people who are like, my max is 10 a week, and people who are like, I love the money, like my max is 30 a week. And usually the people who the max is 30, like they don't have a lot of other intense responsibilities going on in life right now. So it works for
Hmm.
them at this age and stage. Um, but it just, if you know 20 to 22 is where you want to be, my guess is you know that through experience. So
Hmm.
let's
Hmm.
trust it and then see if once you get to 20 to 22 people while still making the same amount you are now or more, if it feels like the right number for you now, because things change. Like what I could do a few years ago is different from what I could do today.
Right, right. I just know I function best at five. When I get past five clients a day, I feel a little crispy.
Hmm.
And I go home and I'm not as present for my family, and I don't like how that feels.
Yeah.
And so that is happening right now. And I'm like, oh, I can't do it,
Yeah.
and I do love some of the people that call and reach out and want to book, but I'm like, oh, nope, I have a waiting list now. So at least I'm being better about that.
Hmm. Yeah. And if you want
Yeah.
Mondays off so that you can handle life stuff, then 4 days a week, 5 clients a day, you're at 20. Perfect.
Right. Right. That's what I think in my head, but it's not coming out that way in the math.
Uh-huh. Right, because you need to shift the insurance versus private pay numbers, and you
Right.
need to raise your
Right.
rate.
Right. Okay. Where else would I like if in the next year I'm working fewer clinical hours, like where else would I put my energy, I guess? Or where
Hmm.
would you put it into marketing more?
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
I would see like if you shift either off a platform or, downsize the insurance part of your practice and increase the private pay. I mean, is your ultimate goal to be 100% private pay?
I don't know.
Okay. I want you to take some time to be still and quiet and fully permissive that whatever you want, whether it's getting off insurance, whether it's staying on insurance, like whatever you want is okay. I want you to explore it.
Okay. That's hard to do.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard. And we don't have a lot of experience with it. Like, what adults do you know who actually know what they want? Not many.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
We were literally just talking about this in my book club the other day that like it
Mhm.
takes concerted effort, it takes intention to check in, to ask yourself, to allow yourself to want the thing that you think you shouldn't if it's what you truly want. And, in our industry, that might mean you really want to stay on insurance, that it feels right to you to stay on insurance when you've got other people being like, oh, you should just be private pay. And it could also be the opposite, that you don't want to take insurance anymore, that you just want to be private pay, but you've got the other people who are like, you're only a real therapist if you take insurance. So it's messy, and your voice is the only one that
Right.
matters.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that is a thing. Like somehow you're not a real therapist if you're not all private pay. Like I
Hmm.
hate that
Right,
because I don't believe that to be true.
right.
But I also am like, I don't want to, I guess I don't, I think it's my justice value that I don't want to be off insurance because I feel like people need, some people need it. Some
Hmm.
people actually need it, use it. And like my insurance-based clients work just as hard as my private pay clients. And it
Yeah.
just feels like then I wouldn't see them. And that doesn't feel
Hmm.
good.
And let me just do math real quick, because math is the answer to a lot of things. Um, so if you saw 20 clients, or no, hold on, let me do this differently. Um, if you saw 18 clients at $230 a week and took 6 weeks off a year, you'd be making $190,000,
Oh my gosh, it's more than I am now.
which would allow you to see two people pro bono or low sliding scale and still stay at 20 clients a week. And you would have enough money potentially to give money to causes you care about. You could play with the math, see like to stay where you're at now. Maybe you could see 16 clients a week at that rate, and then you have four sliding scale people. Like you could play with the math to make it work. So I think sometimes when people are like, I want to be accessible,
Mm-hmm.
other ways to be accessible. And that doesn't mean that the other ways are the right ways to be accessible. Insurance could be the right way for you, but I want you to know that there are other ways while still making a good living.
Okay, can we talk about the sliding fee scale?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I'm not being fair then because it's like, well, this client is paying the full 230 and this one's paying 200. And it's not like they're going to talk to each other and figure that out. But it's
Hmm.
like something about that makes me as a business owner feel kind of like, ugh, that doesn't feel
Hmm.
fair. And I don't know if that's just something I was taught to concern myself with because people make choices, right?
Right.
And if the 230 person didn't ask, do you have sliding fee scale? That's not like on me
Hmm.
or like they didn't talk to me about it. So,
Yeah. Well, and when I say sliding scale, I mean like $50. I mean like sliding scale. Because if it's about
okay,
accessibility, it's about the people who can't afford private pay. So like somebody, well, you also said like the person paying 230 didn't ask. I don't want you to hand out a sliding scale of 200 to anybody who asks, right? I had a sliding scale
right.
client at like $50 a million years ago who whose father was the vice president of a multinational corporation who was paying for the therapy. She had all the designer everything. And I was young in the career at the time and didn't know how to have that conversation, but there was resentment when she would go off to Europe. And I was like, you're on my sliding scale. Like somebody who actually needs the sliding scale could be using it. Um,
Mm,
so look like somebody who can afford 200, I suppose that's a sliding scale for you, but I don't want you to just offer it because it's asked. I want you to offer it because they truly can't afford 230, but they could afford 200. Um, and I still would barely count that as sliding scale.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I'd ever offer $50.
Yeah, totally get that. Yeah.
That seems crazy.
But that's
No,
what
like,
people's copays are, right? Or less. So like you are kind of like to them, that's what's coming out of their pocket in the same way.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's true. But yeah, that just doesn't feel, I mean, that feels like, no, that's less than insurance based. But if you're charging more for private pay and you're only taking X amount of pro bono people,
Right. Like if you're making more money overall, then like that's where that accessibility can come in, is what I'm saying.
right,
And it can
right.
come in at 200 if that's what's accessible for people. But the unfair thing, it's because it's what's needed for them, not because they asked.
Yeah. Okay.
So, of all the other things on your list, I think this is the one that's going to make the biggest difference and not create a shit ton of work for you. Like, there's work involved, but like taking on another clinician, the number of people in Limitless who have come in because they were in a group practice and they needed to go back to solo because the margins are so slim and they're doing so
Mhm.
much more work and so much management that they don't really want to be doing. Um,
Right.
Most people come in and they're like, I'm really making like $40 a month after all the overhead and all the time that it takes. So I would not advise, unless you were like gung ho for a group practice, I would not advise hiring somebody. Um, Supervision's amazing, but you're not likely to make 230 an hour doing supervision. And if what you need to do is work less and make more, then that's not getting to
Gotcha.
that.
Okay.
Um, what else did you have?
I was leasing space. Is that
Leasing
worth my time?
space? Potentially. I mean, it depends on the space, right? Like I have a friend who has a 9 office suite around the corner that she barely pays any rent on, and people pay her like subleasing. And
Hmm.
it's a nice income stream. I think it's like $2,000 or $3,000 tops. But it's, $2,000 or $3,000 a month. That's nice. But there aren't really any other places that she just really lucked out there. Um,
Hmm.
so if there's something that falls in your lap or that you're actively looking at and the math makes sense, then sure. Um, but for her, it was an anomaly kind of situation in our town.
Okay. Running psychoeducational courses, like,
No,
you know.
nope, don't do it. Don't
Okay.
do it. Courses are for you to sell courses at a rate that makes you any money at all, you're gonna have to market like at least an hour to 2 hours a day specifically
Okay.
for that. And with anything that AI could answer right now, people aren't going to spend money. They'd rather get a mediocre answer from ChatGPT than a deeper answer that they paid for, unless it's a really deep, abiding pain, in which case they might need to go to therapy, not take a psychoed course.
Hmm.
So I feel like most courses are probably on their way out, and it's so much work.
Okay. So don't worry about that either.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just need to increase my rates, figure out how people are hearing about me,
Hmm.
um, and then take this
Reconnect.
crap off my website
Yeah.
about insurance.
Uh-huh.
Um, what else? Was that about it?
I
Did I
think
get those
reconnecting, we
three?
just redid the entire marketing fundamentals course, so that might be a good thing to revisit. There's some pretty simple things you can do that can be helpful. It doesn't mean they're going to move the needle quickly, but they can start moving the needle. Um, and yeah, reconnecting with the people that you have relationships with is probably the number one thing you could do right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I
if
know I have your coursework too, so just
Mhm.
looking over that again, the marketing
Yeah,
fundamentals course. Yeah.
yeah. And it's all brand new from when you did it because it's updated for what's working now. Um,
Okay. I haven't looked at it in a while. I mean, I was reviewing it, but I'm like, I still felt like I was spinning my wheels. So,
mhm. And
okay.
if in a month you haven't done these, like you find yourself at that space again where it's like, I meant to do that. If you haven't done it, we're opening the doors in a month for limitless practice. And I think it'd be a good support for you to get this stuff done.
I think you've sent that up before.
Mhm.
Is it a reduced rate if you've done it before, kind of a thing?
Um, did you do limitless before or did you do something else?
I did like you meet every month or like every week or whatever for so many
I've had so
weeks.
many of those. I can't remember which you were in. I just know your face, your
It was
name.
like, I know, it was like 12 weeks or something.
Yeah.
You, like a catastrophe happened and you added on a couple extra weeks. It was during an awful time. Your mom lost her art studio or something, if I remember right.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So,
So
yeah, you
whatever
could,
that was.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. You could do the grad if it was during her Helene, like you can do the
Yes.
grad group.
Okay.
And that is a reduced rate. So, yeah, we'll send out an email for that.
Okay. I'll watch for that then if I don't get on top of things.
Yeah, sounds good. But hopefully you will. Like my hope here is that like you do it, you know, you get through
Hmm.
and it's great.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. That's my hope too.
yeah. Awesome. All right.
Thank you so much. I
Of
appreciate it,
course.
Allison. Have a
Yeah,
great day.
you too. Bye.
Bye.